So I started knitting when I was about 3 or 4, and it was because my mum was a desperate woman. I was the youngest of 5 kids, and by the time she got to me, she just needed something to keep me busy and quiet, and she thought knitting was a good way of doing it, which it was for probably 6 months until I learned to knit and talk at the same time. And then crochet, I did a sort of granny square blanket when I was about 12 or 13, that was down to a friend's mum who taught me, but then really didn't touch it again until really recently, and now I'm obsessed.
I started knitting and crocheting probably about 17 years ago. It was my first craft that I got involved in. And it was knitting primarily. I was living in New Zealand at the time, lots of wool in New Zealand. And it's a long way away, and I used to travel long haul a lot, so it was something I used to do on the flights, and it was not making anything in particular, just keeping my hands moving and my brain moving.
First started knitting about 10 years ago, and it was just I wanted to do something with my hands. My mum was a seamstress, and I loved the thought of like carrying that on. She's ill, so I loved the thought of carrying that on as she got more and more ill, and sewing was just too loud in our house, so I turned to knitting. And that's been literally ever since, is knitting.
So I took up knitting when I was probably about 8 or 9, and my mum taught me. Sorry, my mum, she'll tell me off for not saying mum. Taught me when I was about 8 or 9. We learned how to finger knit at school, and she was sick of me making long cords of nothingness. So she was like, right, I'll teach you how to properly knit. And then crochet I taught myself from tutorials, video tutorials online, because I was on the hunt for the perfect fisherman beanie, which at the time didn't exist.
My biggest yarny achievement was making one of my signature Tony shirts out of super chunky Stylecraft yarn in crochet, and I used 10mm hooks, and it was huge. I modelled that shirt at the Knit and Stitch Festival at Ali Pali.
I'd have to say my biggest yarny achievement would have to be opening my lovely little shop, Manchester Wool and Yarn. We've been going for about 2 years now, and yeah, best decision I've ever made.
So definitely designing Cable Magoria for Stylecraft was huge.
Blankets.
Lovely blanket, and it was a knit along, and I just loved the whole concept of getting everyone going with something, and the whole community thing actually about that was the biggest achievement. I just loved the way it kind of got lots of people going. So that's a big one. I suppose doing my sock yarns, lovely to be able to knit my favourite thing, which is socks, in yarn that I've designed as well. So they're two pretty big things for me.
I've got to say Game of Wool, I think. It was a massive achievement just to step out of my comfort zone. I'd never knitted with anyone else.
Well, most of us don't.
Yeah,
do we?
precisely. So, and then to step in that environment and that competition environment as well was really kind of good. And it's taught me so much about design and stuff since as well. Like, I'm much more confident as a designing things now myself, whereas I was a pattern knitter before, but now I just go off piste and.
Brilliant.
Highland Heathers is my favourite Stylecraft yarn. I love the feel, I love how soft it is. I love it, obviously different weights, but I love Aran and the way it just knits up really quickly, and it just feels like really squishy. You know, some yarns don't, and it just feels really nice.
My favourite Stylecraft yarn has to be super chunky, just because it makes up so quickly, and the way that I like to make, I need it to make up quickly. But then again, I have just started to mess about with DK, and I quite like Life DK. Today's hat is made up in Softy. It's a crochet pattern, a new one, and yeah, I'm loving it, really soft.
My favourite Stylecraft yarn, it definitely changes all the time. I have been making some baby knits recently, so the Bambino is great, but Softy, chunky, in the colour Fern especially.
Oh, that's a hard one. I absolutely love Batik Element Swirl for said shawls. Love that. I'd be lying if I didn't say I loved Colours of the World, my sock yarn for Stylecraft. I love that one too. And I'm really into the cotton and bamboo. It's so beautiful and the colours are amazing.
Bridgerton or Downton?
Bridgerton.
Favourite colour?
Green.
Favourite flavour of crisps?
Ooh, a good ready salted.
Favourite drink with your crochet?
Coffee.
Hit me.
Bridgerton or Downton?
Downton.
Your favourite colour?
Red/green.
Favourite flavour crisps?
Ready salted.
Favourite drink with your crochet? Pint or Prosecco?
Pint.
Bridgerton or Downton?
Neither.
Favourite colour?
Orange.
Favourite flavour of crisps?
Salt vinegar.
Favourite drink to have with your knitting or crochet?
Kombucha.
Excellent. Bridgerton or Downton?
Bridgerton.
Favourite colour?
Blue.
Favourite flavour of crisps?
Cheese and onion.
Favourite drink to have with your crochet or knitting?
A cosmopolitan.